What role does technology play in enhancing public safety and police efficiency? Well, today I'm going to be joined by Matt. He's the co-founder and president of a company called Mark 43. Need to do a quick nerd check out there. Any geeks listening? How did this company get their name? Well, we will find out in just a few moments. And myself and Matt will also unpack the compelling findings from their latest UK survey, which indicates a strong public desire for more police visibility on the streets here in the UK. And Matt is also going to explore how advanced technological solutions can transform police work, ultimately making it more efficient and more responsive. Whether that be backup emergency dispatch systems or real-time sharing across different agencies, I want to learn more about modern tech in this space and how it's not just about change, but how they can dramatically improve how police forces operate and interact with the communities that they serve. That role of technology and it bringing people together, that is the heart and soul of this podcast. So, how can these technologies help police officers be more present when they are most needed? And I also want to highlight how policing is not just about law enforcement. There's so much more going on that we don't talk about bringing the community together. But enough scene setting from me. Let's get Matt on the podcast right now. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Matt Polega. I'm the co-founder and president of Mark 43, and crucially, the executive sponsor for everything that we do in the UK. So Mark 43 is a company that makes software for police. We make records management software, and we make dispatch software, or command and control software. I can talk a little bit more about what those both are. At large, we, a couple years ago, identified that the police market was way underserved with technology. It's not the stuff that you see on TV shows, and me and my two co-founders took that moment to say, we're going to go and we're going to do whatever we can to deliver technology to police that's so sorely needed. So we've been around for about 12 or 13 years, and 300 forces later, we have a great presence in the US, and we're really excited about the business that we're beginning to build in the UK.
Well, it's awesome to have you join me on the podcast today. And a question I've got to ask on behalf of everyone, the name of the company, what's the story behind that? Is it an Iron Man reference, right?
It isn't. I'll tell you what it isn't. It's not a Bible verse. It is. That's what we get a lot. No, it is an Iron Man reference. So if you think back to the Robert Downey Jr. movies, his first kind of red super suit that really worked was Mark 42. So Mark 43 is kind of this allusioner to the next version of something, turning heroes into superheroes, great technology to turn great people into doing even greater things. So yes, I mean, we can call it what it is. It's a pretty nerdy reference is what it is, but that's probably who you want building your software.
Well, you're in the right place for nerdy. So welcome to the show. And your recent survey that I was looking at before you came on the podcast, it highlights, I mean, although you're in the US, that 86% of UK residents want a greater police presence. And how do you think modern technology can help police forces over here in the UK meet this public demand without necessarily increasing physical policemen on the streets, etc.?
Yeah, so when I see 86% of UK residents wanting greater police presence, to me, that just really says a lot about UK policing and that you guys are definitely doing something right. To me, that sounds like almost the entire population, or at least the set of survey respondents saying, we know what police do, we value them, we want them in our community, we value security and safety, and that typically comes with just more officers and being present. So, however, we think all the time that there's kind of this iceberg concept where you see some officers in the streets, you see them being proactive, and you see them kind of comporting that sense of security and safety in the community. That's the tip of the iceberg. The rest of those police officers are spending a lot of time doing things that you would never anticipate. Administrivia, writing reports. They're in HQ, they're at a computer, and they're fighting some old piece of software. And we've really taken it upon ourselves to say, as one of the many facets of our mission, let's make one of them to get those officers back in the field so they can keep promoting that sense of security and safety and keep playing into that 86% of respondents that want more police contact interaction and that feeling of comfort that police provide. So technology has the potential to do that, and we feel like we're really on the path to helping them get that done.
And I think real-time data sharing, along with neighbouring police forces and partner agencies, is obviously critical for improving crime prevention. But how can advanced software systems like Mark 43 facilitate this kind of collaboration to enhance public safety without getting creepy? I would imagine it's quite a fine balance.
It's a great point, and balance is certainly the operative word. So for the listeners out there, and I'm sure we have listeners from all over the place, but I'll just give a quick snapshot of how we see U.S. policing versus U.K. policing. Then I'll think I'll kind of explain our approach here. So, actually, Neil, I'll ask you: do you have any sense of how many police departments there are, either in the U.K. or in the U.S., just roughly?
No idea whatsoever. I know there needs to be potentially more of them. They don't.
Sure.
They seem to be far stretched here in the UK. I'm not sure if it's like that in the US too.
I think recruiting and retention is an endemic problem that is happening everywhere. But your instinct is correct. So in the US, we have 18,000 police departments, which is really high compared to the rest of the world. There's plenty of countries that have a national police force. There's plenty of countries that are far more consolidated, and the UK is one of them. So depending on how you count, the UK has somewhere around 40 or 50 police departments, which is just a striking difference, an absolutely striking difference. And what's notable there is that because you guys have such fewer police departments, they're much bigger on average. Yeah. And I got to give the UK credit. You guys do a really good job, even without all the technological solutions that I think are available out there, of really doing work to get agencies working closely together. So I think about Kent and Essex. I think about Surrey and Sussex. I think about Beds, Herts, and Cams. All these little sets that I'm mentioning, they do a good job saying we're going to combine some sort of either back office work or do some data sharing. And there, I think, are really setting a clever and innovative path for a lot of other forces that are looking at them. But the reason that I bring all this up is that despite them trying to do this and despite them doing a good job, we know that real-time data sharing can be a game changer when police forces are trying to fight the same thing. They're all trying to take down crime and promote safety and security in the community, but it just doesn't happen. I mean, we hear silos and stovepipes all the time. I got my data, it's stuck in my force. It's really hard to get to the neighboring force. It's really hard to get to the task force that's fighting this terrorism problem or this violence against women and girls problem. So we've really done everything in Mark 43 where everybody's using the same database. Everybody's using the same back-end code base. Everybody's using the exact same application that operates and communicates in the same way, so that when those forces are ready to share information, it's not a big technological lift. It's clicking a couple buttons and saying, I'm ready to share information between more intimately between Surrey and Sussex or Kent and Essex or whoever you want to pick, or the Met with everybody, right? And we're primed and we're ready to do that. And every force is on its own path, but for forces that are excited about doing that and doing it in a more serious way, I think we're really the clear low-risk option to doing it. And ultimately, it's just a win-win for everybody all around, right? It's sharing information across forces that the community serve and protect and care and support. It's really where we see policing going.
And from what I've been reading and, of course, listening to you today, it seems that many traditional systems in policing just don't update in real time. So can you tell me a little bit more about the difference that technology is making here and how modernized systems like those from Mark 43 can actually assist officers in responding faster and more effectively to incidents in the field? Because that's probably one of the biggest complaints is that faster response time, and that joined-up approach seems to make so much more sense.
Makes total sense. So, Neil, I ask you a question. Do you have Spotify or Netflix or Facebook or Instagram or any modern applications like that?
Dare I say all of the above?
There you go. Okay. So let's take, just because Taylor Swift was in town twice a couple months ago, does Spotify take down the application to upload a new Taylor Swift album? Do they say, hey, Neil, we're going to be down for half of Tuesday so we can upload Midnights or we can upload the Tortured Poets Department? No,
that stuff just appears magically for Swifties all around the world.
There you go. And I guess playing on this parallel a little bit, we want to keep delivering for our Swifties out in the world, right? So yeah, it would be absolutely unbelievable to think that, oh my gosh, Netflix or Spotify to update the application or put more information in or change some features, and they're going to take it down for 4 or 6 or 12 hours. That's unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
We would never accept that. Yet in policing, where arguably I need my mission critical software more than I need access to Spotify or Netflix, all too often are suppliers that provide this technology taking the applications down to make updates, right? So it's, and then the police force fails over to paper, and then they have to upload all this information that they collected historically. It's just, it's unbelievable to us. And for us, this is like one of the most important things with Mark 43. So typically most of these systems are on premise, meaning they have a server in their basement and they're just accessing it through some sort of fiber line or something like that. And it just operates in the way that software operated in the 80s and 90s. So for Mark 43, updating things in real time is just absolutely crucial. Making sure that that application is always available is key, where they should never, ever have to have the application go down so they can get some more functionality and take a big step back like that. That's the one first, like, most important thing. And then real-time updates also applies to what the officer's getting in the field. I don't need the information from 2 days ago. I need the information for what's happening right now. And if we can push information out to kind of that deepest cell, that endpoint in the field most far away from HQ, which is the police officer on their mobile device, then they're going to be equipped with information, they're going to be equipped with context, and they're going to be equipped with things that maybe don't only provide life-saving measures for them, but life-saving measures for community members as well, which is why they signed up for the job in the first place.
And you raise such an important point now, because I would suspect that everybody listening, wherever they are in the world, they all automatically think they've got a rough understanding of how their police force works, but they might know a little about the technology, but don't think about things like IT change control, software updates, upgrades, backup, and downtime. And this is a very real challenge, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, again, Hollywood has made policing look, I think, exciting where it may not always be that exciting. And then it's also totally mischaracterized what the job is. Police officers have signed up to do a sworn, I think, really, really virtuous duty of going out there every day and delivering something important to the community that carries just really inherent risk. And the flip side is that they're also an enterprise. They're also kind of like a corporation where they have HR, they have finance, and it's not only about the police officer being in the field, but with that stuff comes administrivia and writing reports and collecting all this information. So again, for us, records management, it's a necessary part of the job. It's writing reports, it's crime reports, it's offense reports, it's arrest, it's case investigation, custody, all that stuff. But it shouldn't be the lion's share of what you're dealing with every single day. So we're doing every iota of everything that we can to make sure we're getting those officers back in the field and making great use of all the data that they're collecting while they're doing it.
Yeah, the movies and TV shows have got so much to answer for. There's a line from an old CSI episode that I've got ingrained into my memory. It makes no sense. The line was, "I'm going to create a GUI interface using Visual Basic to track the killer's IP address." It just makes no sense when you read this stuff out loud. But in the real world, of course, backup emergency dispatch systems are essential, especially in cases of outages. So how can police forces ensure that they have resilient technology in place at all times to maintain that continuous operations, especially during emergencies? And we're seeing more and more of that. I'm not just talking about global conflict and terrorism, but climate crisis and stuff. There's so many large-scale emergencies, isn't there?
Mark 43, so we are cloud native. And that's kind of sometimes that can be interpreted as kind of like a high-level word that needs a little more clarification. And just in this moment, I'll say for us, cloud native means two things. One, you only need a technological device, a phone, a tablet, a computer, and an internet connection to access Mark 43. So you have those things, and then you get unmatched resiliency and uptime compared to anything else that you're going to find in the market. And I'll explain why that is. One, lots of people will say like, oh my gosh, like Mark 43. You guys rely on the internet. What if the internet goes down, right? And we'd say, well, yeah, if you don't have internet connected to your device, you need that for Mark 43. It's the same experience that you would have if you had an on-premise solution in your basement and the power went out or the cable was cut that's hooking you up to that server downstairs. But the difference is that you don't have a bunch of other servers spare sitting around that you're going to be able to just go hop over to. With Mark 43, If the internet at your force at HQ cuts out, well, then you could fail over to a mobile hotspot, or then you could fail over to a Verizon hotspot. Or if those don't work, then you could go to the Costa or Starbucks or whichever cafe you pick, and you can use their internet. And if they don't have internet, then you could go to the local library. So for us, the power of the internet just means that in your darkest moments, your toughest times, you have Mark 43 when you need it. And we're going to go wherever your mission takes you, whenever it takes you there, right? And the same thing, and this is just clear whenever you use the application, it feels like something that is designed in 2024, and it operates like something that is designed in 2024. And when there is, let's call it like a mass demonstration event, and the police force that we're working with is really under duress, and they have a bunch of people on overtime, and they're just hammering Mark 43, collecting information and capturing those reports, or for same thing for command and control. We're scaling up resources up and down in the background without that police force even thinking about it. It's not their job, right? They shouldn't be worrying about that. And it's our job to say, we're going to make sure that we're scaling this up and down and giving you what you need so that we keep operating so you can continue operating. So resiliency in 2024 is crucial. It's important. It's something that everybody should be thinking about. And the spoiler is, if it's hosted in your basement or in somebody else's basement, your cloud, whether lift and shift or hybrid cloud or all that kind of like jargon, or definitely on premises, it's not going to get the job done. So we're here, we're ready to help those forces do what they need to do in their moment of need.
And I suspect we will have people listening from the world of law enforcement or even governments. And first of all, they'll be thinking, putting everything in the cloud so much easier, makes so much more sense. But maybe they feel a little bit uneasy about having sensitive information in the cloud. Sure. What happens if it gets hacked, etc.? What would you say to those people listening?
It's a great question, and the people asking those questions are realistic, they're observant, and they are probably paying attention to what is happening in the world when it comes to cyber intrusions and hacks and stuff like that. If you do just a cursory Google search, or I guess Bing search, if that's your flavor, however you look at the internet, there are, thousands and thousands of reports about government agencies' information getting hacked, right? And that is sensitive information, and we take this really seriously. We're managing the names of witnesses and victims and minors and all this stuff. But government agencies are absolute targets for bad actors out there. And I would contend that most of those hacking incidents have come from on-premises systems, not systems that are up in the cloud. And the reason is because cloud-native applications can stay ahead of those security holes that plague other systems. You're able to work with hyperscalers like Amazon Web Services, our preferred provider, to make sure that the thousands of people and billions of dollars that they can throw against security get transferred to Mark 43, which means they get transferred to, again, a customer like Cumbria Constabulary, who we're working with in the UK. So what I think is really exciting is that Mark 43 is really paying attention in a huge and highly invested way at the application level. But in the background back there, we have Amazon, who is just, again, they're going to provide services and support and capabilities that a police force just wouldn't be able to marshal internally. And that's okay. But it's important for these police forces to say, you know what, I'm going to take a step back and say, where can I get leverage? And it's with working with application providers that say, we care about security, but you're also going to get the combined might of the things that you've been doing that have worked, the things that Mark 43 is going to bring to the fore, and then the combined investment of, again, thousands of people and billions of dollars and a bunch of experts at AWS that say, you know what, people try to hack us all the time. We're hardened. We're tough. That is exactly who you would want supporting us in the back end and making sure that your force can continue doing the business that it cares about.
And every day on this tech podcast, I try and get people thinking differently about how technology is impacting their world and changing industries, especially areas that you don't automatically associate with tech. So I'm curious, how do you see modern technology transforming not just policing, but also how communities might perceive their police forces in terms of things like trust, safety, and responsiveness?
It's a great question. So I'll double back a little bit. Mark 43, our bread and butter products, like I said, records management and command and control. Records management is collecting information that happens when a police officer's out in the field. That could be about a crime. That could be about somebody saying, my cat climbed up a tree and I can't get it down. Whatever a police officer responds to, they have to write a report about it. That's just the nature of the job. And we have a team member that says no police officer ever signed up to be Charles Dickens. They never wanted to spend 2-3 quarters of their shift writing a really long, laborious police report. And so it's our job to get those police officers back in the field, but also make sure that they're collecting information that can be used in the future, that make sure that their command staff can make better and more informed decisions about how they're going to, deploy resources and make sure that the police force is doing, what they need to do. So that's where we spend a lot of our time. That's what we're so excited to be bringing to the UK right now. That is the business that we're in, and we're getting a lot of exciting conversations around that. But it also means that for the UK, a country that cares so much, I'll go back to some Peele and Robert Peel. So Robert Peel, the godfather of modern police, again, an unbelievable gift that you guys have given to the world. He talks about policing by consent. And he says a police department can't operate without the consent of its community. The community is implicitly saying, you are my police department. I'm willing for you to have these powers. And for you to be a police officer or in a police department or a constabulary, what have you. If that consent and good relationship didn't exist, the police forces couldn't work. So if you think about these Peelian principles, you need a police force that is going to be able to be transparent with the community and communicative with the community and tell the good story of all the things that they're doing. Policing isn't all enforcement. It's not all the Hollywood things of breaking down doors and arresting the bad guys and stuff. It's making sure that somebody that was victimized, they get support for many months or even years after they've been victimized. It's making sure that you're looking after vulnerable populations. It's making sure that you're there and providing a presence that makes people feel comfortable, because when people are comfortable, people flourish and communities flourish. So this is all to say, if people are able to understand what that police force is doing and really hear that good news and that good story, they're going to continue having the harmonious relationship that we've seen, and 86% of respondents are going to keep saying we want more police because this is awesome. So again, it's not just about enforcement, but it's about all these great things that police officers do day in and day out that may get kind of swept under the rug or not find that media limelight. And we're here to help them tell that story.
That's such an important to raise there, that policing is not just about enforcement. It's something that we often forget. And technology can sometimes face resistance in public sectors due to things like cost and complexity, or even the perception that the public sector just cannot keep up with the pace of the private sector. So from what you're seeing, everything over here in the UK, I mean, what do you see as the main challenges for UK police forces and what they're facing when adopting modern systems, and how can they overcome some of these barriers?
The main challenge that we see is there's just not a lot of options. And I think there's a limited number of suppliers that offer a UK solution. And we're extremely excited because we're here to break that mold a little bit. And we've had a lot of great conversations. And even if we come into the UK and we get other suppliers to pick up their pace and continue delivering for UK police forces, that's a good outcome for those police forces, and that's what we care about. But we're here to bring some new blood into the system, deliver an application that is modern and feels like it was designed today, and we're here to give them that optionality. Separately, I think the UK is on this wonderful cloud journey. I know the Home Office, and I know that the powers that be are very supportive of all government agencies going to the cloud, and we're here to ride that wave too, because we see it's really the only way to get business done in 2024 if you're a large enterprise. So we're here to deliver that. We've been delivering it for a Cumbria Constabulary, which we're so excited about, and we're going to continue our long-term vision of what we can do for the UK, and we're excited to be there for it.
And we are at that magical time of year where we're just weeks away from life in 2025. Maybe looking at how we do things differently, how we can improve things, not just next year, but the years beyond that too. So looking ahead, how do you envision the future of policing in the UK and indeed the world, particularly in terms of leveraging technology like AI, real-time data analytics, cloud-based systems to ultimately improve efficiency and community engagement without drifting down that creepy territory that we mentioned earlier?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think, again, I go back to policing by consent. What the police officers are doing has to get the consent of the community. So I think you're always going to have that good kind of governance, that check and balance. And I think that prevents against, again, to use your word, kind of the creepiness, right?
Yeah.
But long term, what do we see? We see a bunch of police forces that have the intention of working together actually being able to work together. We see the intention of sharing data actually being able to share data. We see the intention of providing mutual aid and staff from Cheshire to Manchester and back and forth in times of need, us being able to facilitate that. So I think there's great autonomy in having individualized police forces, and I think that's a good thing, but there's no reason that they can't solve the problem of crime and community support and safety together. So we're very much excited to facilitate that. Cloud, no doubt, is going to help them do that. You're going to be on a network of resiliency that's going to keep you doing what you need to do and delivering that mission, which is absolutely crucial. AI is the talk of the town, and everybody is super into it. And that can be kind of like a spooky, kind of like creepy thing as well. Yeah. Fortunately, I think for policing, there's so much room to make improvements from a technology perspective that we see a bunch of low-hanging fruit when it comes to AI. For example, everybody's got body-worn camera, right? So many people are wearing body-worn cameras in the world of policing. For us, we just released something called Report AI, where it doesn't matter what provider you're with. We believe in an absolutely open ecosystem of you using this solution, that solution, or it doesn't matter. If you have a body-worn camera, we can ingest that footage. And police officers hate writing narratives. Narratives are the longest, most burdensome thing. We can see that somebody was driving a blue car and wearing a red jacket, and the audio said that the commission of the crime was vandalism and it happened during the day. And we can get a bunch of data from different data sources and generate a lot of that report without the officer having to cut that first draft. And I say first draft because the officer will have to review the report. They can't just say, take the wheel, computer, and do my job for me. You're always going to need that human element. But again, those are the kind of things that we are really trying to push out to get everybody excited about the potential of this space and to help people understand what opportunities are ahead of us. So 2025 is going to be exciting for that. But gosh, I think in 2020, we're going to look back and just be absolutely amazing in how far we've come in 5 years.
And policing is a very serious subject, especially when bringing emerging technologies into it. But as you said, policing is not just about enforcement. It's so much more than that. And community plays a crucial role in that. And this refreshing point that you raised there got me thinking a little about your background, because I think none of us are able to achieve any degree of success without a little help along the way. So is there a particular person that you're grateful towards? Maybe they saw something in you, invested a little time in you, helped you get you where you are, or just someone we can give a little shout out and a thank you to today, because it is all about community. And I think this would be a great way to end the podcast today. But who would that person be and why?
I love you bringing this up, Neil. I think gratitude is such a healthy thing. Every Monday in my team meeting, we all have to go around and say something that we're grateful for. And I think it's just such a good way to start the week. So for right now, this is such a great way to end the week. So in reflecting on this 12 or 13-year entrepreneurial journey, twists and turns and more downs than ups. I think that's just the nature of building a business. One set of people that I really think about are my parents. I remember just before graduating from Harvard with my two co-founders, where we were doing this harebrained idea of trying to build better police software. I was getting dinner with my parents, and they said, "So what are you doing after university? What's your job going to be?" And I said, I think they expected, are you going to go be a consultant, or are you going to go work at that engineering firm you had done an internship at? What are you going to go do? And I said, this thing that me and Scott and Flo are coming up with in this class, this police technology thing, I think we're going to keep doing it. And there was like just a moment of silence where my mom took a bite of soup, and then she just said, okay, well, we're excited to hear more about it. We'd love to hear the pitch someday, but keep us updated, and that's exciting. And I think that moment between my mom and my dad, they were just kind of like, we're up for him going for this thing. It sounds a little crazy and a little bit different. And amazingly, we're here 13 years later, and they've just been consummate supporters along the way. And again, I think for anybody that is on the entrepreneurial journey, we can commiserate about that. Or for people that are thinking about it, it's not easy. It's a competitive world. It's a hard space, and it demands a lot of the people in it. So if you're planning on going that route, make sure there's people in your corner that can support you in ways that you may not anticipate today. So huge credit to them. And I got to give a shout out to my co-founders, Scott and Flo, as well. I think it's a very rare situation that three co-founders are somehow still at a company 12 or 13 years later. And for how different the three of us are, I recognize that difference is like probably key. We all kind of have our camps, I think, of where we really excel. And God knows that we are there for each other in the darkest times and when we need the support. So whatever dynamic we've been able to figure out amongst ourselves, it somehow is still working, and it's something that we totally value and cherish. And whether it's, again, great co-founders, parents, family, friends, partners, you need to cultivate that in the beginning, because it can be a lonely road, and we're lucky to have versions of those people in all of our lives. So it's a great question, and I sure am grateful for all those individuals.
Well, what a beautiful answer and a perfect moment to end the podcast. I hope people listening, the people you mentioned, get to hear this. I think it's so important not just to recognise it, but to share it and make these people aware of the impact that they have on us every day. I think sometimes people are blissfully unaware of the scale of that impact. And for anyone listening that inspired by your story, want to find out more information, where would you like to point everyone listening if they've got any questions to ask, or just dig a little bit deeper on the report?
Yeah, absolutely. So at Mark 43, we like to say that we're made for your mission, and whether that's the US or that's the UK, we absolutely believe that. I think it's really, really true. And no place will you be able to learn more about it than mark43.com. So that is where you can get more on Mark 43, understand everything that we're doing, and especially for our UK listeners, hear about all the exciting things that we're up to right now and that we have coming in 2025. And we are excited for whatever conversation you want to have. So please reach out there, and we're standing by to visit, to be there, to be present, and to be the solution that we really feel that the UK needs.
I think many people listening will have complained that there are not enough police on the streets. That demand for the more police, as you mentioned in your report there, is clearly there. But I don't think people think about the need for modernized, resilient technology that allows people, or allows police officers, to spend more time in the field, and having a backup emergency dispatch system in case of outages, real-time data sharing, etc., and software that updates in real time. All things that we kind of take for granted in the private sector, but are not always there in the public sector. So thank you so much for sharing this today.
Thank you, Neil. It was a great conversation. I really appreciate it.
So, Matt, a big thank you for offering so many insightful perspectives into the intersection of technology and community policing. But for everybody listening, how do you see technology playing a role in enhancing public safety within your own community? Are there any particular technologies that you think would make a difference? I invite you to share your thoughts and join the conversation on our social media channels, where you'll find me. I'm just at Neil C. Hughes everywhere. Or you can email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com. But together, let's keep pushing this conversation forward on how technology can better help serve our communities that we all live. But that's it for today. So hopefully I will speak with you all again tomorrow about a completely different topic. But thank you for listening today, and I will see you all again tomorrow. Bye for now.